Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends. How are you? Heartiest welcome to my training channel. My name is Abdul Khalik. My dear friends, look, we had heard it that work smart and not hard. I don't work hard, I rather work smart. Many of the people are seen talking something like that. Is it true, by the way? Does this smart work benefit us or something else? It has been studied, it has been observed that many of the people who are working smart and not hard, these people are wasting their time up to great extent, my dear friends. But everyone else is not the same at all. Everyone else is not the same at all. There are people who are genuinely working smart and not hard. Now, these people are better able to reap the results. My dear friends and fellows, they are not wasting their time at all. Rather, they are quite effective in their work. Now, what is the reason? Does it mean that they are much more intelligent as compared to the other people? As it is generally perceived that those who are working smart and not working hard, these people are genius people. These people are very intelligent people. I think that being genius or being very intelligent, my dear friends and fellows, I think that as far this thing is concerned, there is more to do with the strategy, with the planning, with the learning, than being very intelligent, than being a genius. So, dear friends, after a careful observation, after studying many of the cases, the certain things have has appeared as the genuine reason of the work smart. Certain principles, certain working habits, certain strategically devised and developed methods have proven that these are definitely the work smart ideas and not working so hard, despite all that, producing the very good amount of the results. Today, since we have made it a topic of our today's discussion, and for that reason, we have conducted some sort of research, and the findings of the research are going to be presented here in during this talk of ours. After a very careful consideration, some 8 techniques have been devised and developed about working smart instead of working hard, about producing results out of this smart work and not wasting the time at all. So those 8 techniques, call them the 8 strategic techniques, call them the 8 habits, call them the 8 methods of smart work. So so these 8 are being presented here. Let's look upon all that one by one. So the first of all it is they prioritize strategically. Practical tip is plan plan the things which create some 80% of the results, because being busy does not equate to being productive as well. Being busy does not equate to being productive as well. So, what we need to do is that stop doing the things which are of little or no importance and start doing the things which are really important, which does produce some 80% of the results. So there is an 80-20 rule, and the 80-20 rule says that the 20% of the items does produce 80% of the results, and now the 80% of the things produce only 20% of the results. So what we need to do actually is that instead of keeping ourselves busy in the things which does produce 20% of the result, but these take 80% of our time, our effort, our energy and other resources. So it is better to focus on those things which are 20% only, but it does produce some 80% of the results. So they plan strategically, and they plan strategically, and plan the things which create some 80% of the results. Now the number two method, that is, they embrace rest as a productivity tool. That is very strange. That is very, but it is very much true. Paradoxically, they take rest as a productivity tool. They embrace rest as a productivity tool. Our our brains need downtime to process information. Yes, not only that, we do need the information, the right sort of information, the important information. Rather, we need the time to process these informations as well. So this time can be provided in the form of rest, a very good amount of the rest. Also, we need to generate new ideas, and we do need to maintain optimal functioning. The generation of the new ideas on the one hand, and the optimal functioning of our brain on the other hand. So the both of these things, generation of the ideas as well as the optimal functioning of the brain, we need to provide ourselves with the adequate amount of the rest. Not only the bodily rest, rather the rest mentally. It is the mental rest which is much more important. How can we do that? I think that we can do that by the mindfulness. By the mindfulness. What is this mindfulness, by the way? It is a state of mind achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, and then, my dear friends, while calmly accepting or acknowledging our feelings, our thoughts, and the bodily sensations. So my dear friends, I think that the rest, and particularly the mental rest, that is very much important. Now the next is, the practical tip is, schedule short regular breaks. Schedule short regular breaks throughout the day. Throughout the day, spend time away from your workstation at the workplace, not to spend even your free time over there. Rather, go slightly away somewhere else. Now the third is, they delegate effectively. Delegate or stagnate. They know that everything else cannot be done by they themselves. They know they know that everything else cannot be done by they themselves, and that this is a perfect recipe for inefficiency and exhaustion. If at all we are trying to do everything else by we ourselves, then this is a perfect recipe for inefficiency and exhaustion. They focus on what is the most important, or at what they are good at. They focus on what is the most important, or at what they are good at. My dear friend, delegation is very important, because it is said that delegate or stagnate. If at all we don't want to stagnate, if at all we want to keep flowing, for that reason we need to delegate the unimportant thing, and also we need to delegate the things which we don't understand well. But the delegation, that itself is quite an art, and everybody is not good at delegation, but we can learn to be a person who can delegate effectively. We need to learn upon how to delegate effectively, my dear friends. Now the fourth is, they aren't afraid to say no. They are not afraid to say no at all. Not every request, Not every invitation, not every project, not every opportunity that comes across deserve your time. Not every request, not every invitation, not every project, not every opportunity that comes across deserve your time, effort. Ask yourself first, does it align with my goals? Ask yourself first, does it align with my goals? Are our priorities? So that is really very important, and learning to say no. And now the fifth is, they regularly step out of their comfort zone. They regularly step out of their comfort zone. Keep keep pushing your boundaries, and it's not exhausting, and surprisingly, the opposite is often true. Keep pushing your boundaries, and it's not exhausting, and surprisingly, the opposite is often true. Experience growth, gain new perspective, and find efficient ways to solve problems. So it is very important indeed. They regularly step out of their comfort zone, extremely important. Keep pushing your boundaries, and it's not exhausting, and surprisingly the opposite is very true, opposite of exhaustion. Experience growth, gain new perspective, and find efficient ways to solve problems. They regularly step out of their comfort zone. Do it carefully and gradually as well. But as for the stepping out of the comfort zone is concerned, we need to do it gradually, we need to do it carefully. Now, because there are tremendous amount of benefits, there are tremendous amount of benefits of stepping out of the comfort zone regularly. Now the sixth is, they focus on learning, not just doing. Truly successful people understand that constant action without learning leads to inefficiency and burnout. Okay. Truly successful people understand that constant action without learning leads to inefficiency and burnout. Instead, they invest time in learning new skills, gaining new knowledge and wisdom. This approach is specifically working as far the smart and not the hard work is concerned. Set aside time regularly, either on daily or on weekly basis, for learning new skills. Now the seventh is, they cultivate meaningful connections. They cultivate meaningful connections. Successful people who don't overwork Successful people who don't overwork themselves often have a robust network of supportive colleagues, mentors, and friends. They cultivate meaningful connections. Successful people who don't overwork themselves often have often have a robust network of supportive colleagues, friends, and mentors. So they cultivate meaningful connections. Now the eighth and the last is, they accept failure as a part of the process. They accept failure as a part of the process. Successful people who manage their workload effectively, successful people who manage their workload effectively, don't see failure as a setback. They don't see failure as a setback, but as a necessary stepping stone. Don't be afraid of making the mistakes. Don't be afraid of making the mistakes. Don't cultivate the fear of failure at all. Allow yourself to take calculated and well prepared risks. Allow yourself to take calculated and well prepared risk. Pursue innovative ideas. Pursue innovative ideas. My dear friends, so these are the 8 smart work techniques. Let's have a very quick revision of all of these 8. 8 habits of successful people who never work hard. Number one, they prioritize strategically. What is the practical tip is they plan the things which create some 80% of the results, because they understand that 80% of the work will be producing some 20% of the results, and the 20% of the work, very important work, very important points, will be producing some 80% of the results. Being busy does not equate to being productive. Being busy does not equate to being productive. So the number 2 is they embrace rest as a productivity tool. Our brains need downtime to process information, generate new ideas, and maintain optimal functioning. Okay, our brains need downtime. Practical tip is schedule short, regular breaks throughout the day. Spend time away from your workstation. Number three, they delegate effectively, because delegate or stagnate is the principle. They know that everything else cannot be done by they themselves, and that this is a perfect recipe for inefficiency and exhaustion. They focus on what is the most important or what they are good at. Smart and important things to be delegated first. Small and unimportant things, small, trivial, and unimportant things to be delegated first of all. And delegation in itself is quite an art, and we need to do it quite carefully. They aren't afraid to say no. Not every request, not every invitation, not every project, not every opportunity that comes across deserve your time. Ask yourself first, does it align with my goals and priorities? Now, the fifth is they regularly step out of their comfort zone. Keep pursuing your bound, keep pushing your boundaries, and it's not exhausting. And surprisingly, the opposite is very often true. Experience growth, gain new perspective, and find efficient ways to solve problems. How? By stepping out of the comfort zone. By They regularly step out of their comfort zone. They regularly step out of their comfort zone, keep pushing your boundaries, and it's not exhausting at all. Rather, surprisingly, the opposite is often true, because we can experience growth, we can gain new perspectives, and we can find efficient ways to solve problems. Do it carefully and gradually, but it is important to step out of the comfort zone. They focus on learning, not just doing. They schedule. The truly successful people understand that constant action without learning leads to inefficiency and burnout. Instead, they invest time in learning new skills, gaining new knowledge. This approach is specifically working smart and not hard. Set aside time regularly, either on daily or on weekly basis, for the sake of learning. They cultivate meaningful connections. Successful people who don't overlook Successful people who don't overwork themselves often have a robust network of supportive colleagues, friends, and mentors. They accept failure as a part of process. This is the number 8 and the last. They accept failure as a part of the process. You know, successful people who manage their workload effectively, successful people who manage their workload effectively don't see failure as a setback but as a necessary stepping stone. Don't be afraid of making the mistakes. Allow yourself to take calculated and well prepared risks. You know, pursue innovative ideas. So that is the recipe, that is the 8 point agenda, and these are the 8 tools of working smart and not hard. Thank you very much.